I'm back at Field's End today. This is the first time I've been here since April. We had a ton of rain yesterday and last night, so I guess that the rivers aren't going to be terribly clever. So I've come to Field's End. It's I probably just got in before the really cold weather sets in, although the temperature has dropped since yesterday. Yesterday was quite mild and the day before. There's a hell of a wind blowing today, almost a gale really. As it happens, I'm in the spot I fished last time, not because I really aimed for this spot, but basically because it seemed to be sheltered. I noticed the video camera is wobbling a bit in the wind, so you may have a little bit of oscillation on this clip, but anyway, I'm just about to sort of set up. And the other thing is, since I last went fishing, I've gone a bit high tech. I bought myself a FOX EOS2 chair, because with the new hip I shouldn't really be sitting on a very low chair, so I bought myself a bit of high technology. But the problem is it's a bit heavy to carry, but it is very comfortable. Anyway, I'm going to set myself up and see how we get on. I don't know how the wind's affecting this video, and certainly it's moving around a bit, but there we go. We'll see how we go. Okay, I'm on the head cam now, which won't wobble around in the wind. It might wobble a bit with my head. Oh, little grebe just popped up in front of us, so he found something to eat. I've just put a bit of hemp and some sweet corn just on the edge of the reeds there. I'm not going to try casting out very far today. The wind today was given by the Met Office as northwesterly, that's why it's a bit cold. So I'm in the northeast corner, which means I'm actually in a little sheltered bay with the wind right behind me, which is possibly not the recommended way for fishing, because often they say fish into the wind, but in terms of comfort it's quite nice. So I've just introduced a bit of bait. I'm on my new chair that I've mentioned in the intro video, and you can see I've also treated myself to a tray. So I'm really high tech now. As you can probably know from my earlier videos, I'm not really a very high tech fisherman in terms of kit. But I bought the tray basically because it's a quorum tray and it's a Fox chair, but this is what they call any chair accessory, the quorum. And I bought it because I'm not supposed to bend down from a sitting position while my hip is recovering, so I needed the bait higher up than I would normally have it. I've also, a first for me, I bought some prawns with me. I thought there might be some perch around. I've never really tried for perch here. I caught one earlier in the year on luncheon meat, which was unexpected. But I'm going to start off with corn and see if we can get some roach going. But if not, I may put the prawn on and see if I can pick up a perch or two. Right, okay, so I'm just going to plumb up now, and then I'll start fishing and come back to you once things are underway. Okay, we're fishing. I've had one bite, which I missed. Probably a small roach. They're quite fast when they bite, and probably that's where the pole scores over a rod and line, as you can be right on top of the float and with no slack. But at least something was interested. Since I was here in April, these reeds on the left have grown out even further, restricting even more the space in this spot. So if I get into anything big, it could be interesting. But I'm not really after carp today, even if there is a chance of carp. I don't know how that sun's working with the camera, but it's reflecting straight in my eyes, which isn't very good. fly in the eye. Right, there we go. Oh, we have a fish. Yeah, it's a roach, I think. Oh, that's not a bad start. Not a bad fish at all. Oh yeah. I wonder if I catch a few more like this. Unfortunately the hook's gone a bit down. Having said they bite timidly, this one's taking the hook right down. Can't see the hook for the corner. Oh, that's better. I can see what we're doing now. That's better. Well, that's not a bad start. Well, a few more like that won't go amiss. Yes, this is certainly a nice little sheltered corner. Probably see the waves across the lake. The forecast for today, it started very wet. It's been wet overnight. It was pouring yesterday. But the forecast for today is bright sun all day. So although it's a bit nippy, it's quite pleasant sitting in the sun, and in this spot you get the sun for most of the day. So yeah, as I say, it's reasonably pleasant really. I can feel the cold wind on the back of my head though, even though I've got a woolly hat on. Yeah, there's something else interested by the look of it. As I say, I don't really want any carp today because I think I would really struggle if I got anything big here. I have bought another rod. I bought an Avon rod. This is my match rod. I bought my John Wilson 11'6" Avon, which has got a little bit more oomph in it. So if it transpires I start catching bigger things, I'll swap rods. They're both set up the same. I've got a preloaded waggler, one shot on the line just to sink the bait. I think I've got a 14 hook on here at the moment, but on the Avon I've tied it direct to the 5-pound line, so give me a little bit more power should things start to develop into bigger fish. It's a strange thing with roach here. I on a number of occasions I sort of caught a roach soon after I've started, and then it goes dead. Whether it's the alarm signal sent off by the fish, I don't know, but perhaps go a little bit deeper. This float has drifted a little bit. It's not actually anchoring the bottom at the moment, which was the intention. Ah, the little thing on the line slipped down. Perhaps I ought to replace those. They're perhaps getting a bit weak, the little stops. That explains things. It's probably when I had the line over the edge of the net. I'll be careful of the wind here, it's going to blow me into the reeds. I'm still learning with this chair because I also bought from the any chair range, the coring range, a butt rod rest, which really is for when you're feeder fishing. But what I found out today is it would have been very useful to rest my rod on while I'm sort of doing things, and of course I've left it in the car because I didn't think I'd need it. But there's the fitting for it down there, so I can just about rest the rod on that carefully. I must admit it's very comfortable compared to my little fishing chair that I used to bring. And the great thing about it is it's got these arms, which when you've got a weak hip, you need something to push off to get up. So it meets that requirement beautifully. I did have a couple of fishing chairs from years ago when I was doing a bit more carp fishing, and but they were very low and far too low, so I flogged them on Facebook and I bought this one. Well, it's gone a bit quiet, but on previous occasions here it has been quiet in the morning, and it's sort of perked up a bit around midday, although I got here quite late today. I don't know, probably didn't tackle up till about 10:30, so I'm only planning to stay a few hours, perhaps up to 2-3 o'clock. During this recuperation stage I'm doing things in smaller bites. Well, I've just recovered from a bit of a disaster. As I mentioned a bit earlier there, with the wind blowing from right to left, you have to be careful not to get blown into those reeds. Well, that's exactly what happened, and I'm not sure you can see it on this camera, but my float is hanging off the end of the reed that is projecting out there. I lost the lot, float, hook, all of it, so I've just had to retackle, and I just recast really. So and it's very quiet. I'm not sure the fact the grebe is sort of fishing the swim is helping much, but there we go. I may give a prawn a go, see what happens. There's not much happening on corn at the moment. Oh, I don't know. Oh, that looks like a bite. Right. Let's try a prawn, shall we? See what that produces. The prawn didn't produce any action, so I broke up a few prawns and I've sort of spread them around each side of the reeds here, so perhaps go back and try that again later. But at the moment I'm trying some artificial casters. I bought a packet of these casters. I very rarely buy maggots to fish with, so I thought if I bought those I could, if maggot was the bait of the day, I could try those casters. It's only been out there a few minutes, but so far no action. It's strange really. When I started I got that roach on corn, and then I've had a couple of other touches that I missed, but it's gone pretty dead. The wind's, if anything, more fierce now than when I arrived. It's certainly a blustery day. There were a few people around the lake, not that I can see them from here. I chatted to one guy on the way in. He was after carp. Seems to be most people here tend to be after the carp. I suppose that's true of most commercials these days. What used to be coarse fishing is now really become carp fishing. It's taken over the sport, really. I find it fascinating, really, that when I was a kid, you know, we read about carp, and nobody ever thought they'd ever catch one. But now, they seem to be the go-to species. I can understand why. They're hard-fighting fish, and they're big. Well, they can be big. Well, the casters haven't produced any immediate magic. It's amazing, really. Like most people, I've got a tube full of floats. In fact, a couple of tubes full of floats. Some of them dating back years, quill floats from when I was a kid. And absolutely no shortage of floats. But when you lose one, I hate losing floats. I can see my float dangling up there. I've been using that for, I can't remember how long now, and now it's stuck in the reeds. And as I say, it's not as if I haven't got any more. It's just, it's a sort of psychological thing about losing a float. It's just calmed down a bit for a few minutes. Right, things are looking up a little bit. I'm starting to get a few more bites. Missing most of them, but probably roach. I had one on which came off before it got to the net, unfortunately, but at least we're getting bites now, which is certainly an improvement. I'm fishing a little bit further out, which makes it a bit more difficult with this wind. But perhaps I was fishing just too close in before. Yeah, it's certainly a wild day. I keep getting twigs and leaves sort of hit me on the back and that from the trees behind. Problem is the trees are still in full leaf, so with winds like this, yeah, I switched the video on because I was getting more bites, and that was a fatal error, wasn't it? Because I'm now not getting a bite. Well, I don't think today's going to be that memorable somehow. I had one more roach, about the same size as the other two, so I've missed a few bites. I tried some cheese paste that I had left over from the river last week. Had a couple of touches on it, but nothing positive. The good news is the wind has eased quite considerably. It's quite peaceful now. The forecast tended to indicate the wind would carry on all day and into tomorrow, but it's certainly a lot calmer at the moment, but that hasn't provoked any fish. I'm back on corn now, which is what I've been loose feeding along with hemp. There we go. I think there's another roach, but it feels a little bit better. Oops, you knocked my cheese paste on the floor. Nah, it's about the same size. It's just a little bit more energetic. Oh, I don't know, maybe a bit bigger. corn seems to be working better than anything else, although I'm not actually getting a lot of fish on it. It's gone through his lip and through the net. That's interesting. Oh, there we go. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah, it's they're not. Oops, a bit slippy. A nice roach, nice condition, but not particularly big. But that's the fourth one, so I've had 4 about that stamp. We'll carry on. Probably stay to about 3. Let's see how we do. Yeah, it's definitely a bit bigger, that one, I think. Come on, yeah, there you go. Fishing has certainly changed here since I first used to come back in about 2006, 2007. I was looking through my diary the other day, and on one occasion in October I fished over the other corner, and I caught tench, I caught barbel, a few roach, but I haven't had a tench out of here for years. I don't know what happened to the tench. Well, they may still be here, but I'm not catching them anymore. But it was often the case when I first arrived, more in the summer admittedly, that the first cast would produce a tench. But I haven't seen one for ages. There's a dip on the float there, but it didn't do much more than dip. And the other fish that I haven't seen much of, which again used to feature in my catch on most occasions when I first fished here, was the crucian carp. Probably a bit late now for them, but certainly tench, crucian carp, roach, and of course carp. Invariably I got a mixed catch like that, float fishing the margins. Again, sort of spring, summer, rather than later in the year. It's now 2:15. I've still only had those 3 roach. I've tried alternating between corn, tailor prawn, cheese paste, but really not a lot happening. I think I'm probably going to call it a day. I'm starting to get a bit cold. Up to now the sun had some heat in it, but it's sort of losing some of its heat now, and the wind has come back. Quite a cold wind, northwesterly wind. I really don't think I'm going to get a lot more today, but it's been good to get out. I think probably my next outing will be on a river rather than on a lake, but I thought I'd come here today just to see how I got on before the weather really sets in for the winter. I was hoping perhaps catch some perch on the prawns, but that didn't happen. Obviously I was trying for the roach with the hemp and the sweet corn, and that worked to a point, but certainly the sport wasn't very fast. I've had the opportunity to try out my new chair, which has been great, very comfortable. bit heavy to carry around. I don't think it'll be going down the rivers, but great for sitting here on a platform. So I think that's about it for today. Thank you for watching if you got this far, and I don't think I'm going to catch anything else, so it's as usual, bye for now and cheers.